Good morning. Welcome to Market Monday. Well, not to start your week off with gray clouds on the horizon, but last week a closely watched metric, the 3-month 10-year curve, inverted, meaning 3-month treasuries were yielding more than a 10-year treasury for the first time since 2019. Ben, why does the 3-month 10-year inversion matter? Why should we care?
Well, the previous 8 recessions in the US were all preceded by inversion of this curve. As you said, that inversion happened last week for the first time in a couple of years. While this will probably make its way into the news and media, we think it's important to remind ourselves that historically there has been a long lead time between this yield curve and the start of a recession. 24 months on average. Overall, quite a range from 11 months in 1981 to 50 months in 1970. That's over 4 years from inversion until recession. So we say, let's be aware it happened, but also equally aware that while anything is possible, a recession is not necessarily imminent.
And just as Ben said, the US recession probabilities parade has started. So we see the all caps headline here. Thanks for making it big enough to see. We appreciate it. We see 4 different models of drastically different probabilities. All right, probabilities. What are the Mega Millions lottery odds? 302,575,350 to 1. But someone eventually wins, right? So even with the lowest odds you could possibly imagine, the event still happens. We do not place much weight or faith in these probability indicators, especially from a predictive capacity. The Bloomberg model is interesting, especially if recession doesn't happen. Then the model itself would be wrong. But there's still a long way to go on this. I think the main thing is, again, to be aware of if you see any one of these recession probability models by itself, as it's probably serving whatever narrative the author is trying to tell.
And should we get a recession, how long do they typically last? Since 1918, we see an average length of 13 months, though most recessions are average, lasting either shorter or longer than the average number. Next, should we be in a recession, the NBER, the group that officially determines recessions in the US, would likely declare it starting in the first quarter of this year, as they start the recession after the economic activity has peaked, which was earlier this year. In that case, we would be 10 months into the recession, longer than or equal to 9 prior recessions. But that's only if we go into a recession, which again involves a significant decline in economic activity that is spread across the economy and lasts more than a few months. And though we may get that in the future, we certainly don't have it yet.
All right, lots of recession talk and gray clouds. How about some blue skies? Remember late last year and even early this year, hearing about all those container ships waiting off the ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach? Over 100 ships were waiting, sitting idle. Now that number is 4. The supply chain is thawing indeed. Interest rates. We all know the story of rates screaming higher in 2022. What could signal the end? One metric is the yield on the 10-year Treasury peaking prior to the end of a Fed hiking cycle. Here in blue, we see the 10-year Treasury yield, and in black is essentially the Fed funds rate that the Fed has been hiking. These numbers in red are the number of hikes after the 10-year Treasury has peaked. At the time of this recording, the 10-year Treasury yield is lower than its peak. However, we are only a few days past peak. A lot of other factors are involved, but this is an item we're keeping an eye on. Ben, let's keep the blue skies going.
Another positive development has been an increase in tax brackets and Social Security benefits. Right off the bat, we get an increase in the standard deduction of $1,800 for married couples and $900 for individuals. This is a dollar for dollar reduction in taxable income, which applies to everyone choosing to take the standard deduction, regardless of income. Brackets are also increasing. While the tax rate themselves are staying the same, those brackets fill up at higher levels, so to speak. For example, a married couple now wouldn't hit the 32% marginal bracket until $364,200, an increase of over $24,000 compared to last year. So we do have some additional flexibility.
Flexibility, and we do have some choices. Remember, our planning framework, clarity, choices, control. We can choose to make that Roth conversion or not. We can choose to make that IRA distribution or not. We can choose to harvest losses or harvest gains and dial into where we want to be with this new information in mind.
For those still working, retirement plan contribution limits are also going up by a couple of $1,000s for 401ks and $500 for IRAs, while over age 50 catch-up contributions are increasing by $1,000. There is no change for traditional and Roth IRAs, which remain at $1,000. We can choose to use these plans to reduce current income and further dial in to where we want to be. And for those not contributing to retirement plans, there's something for you too. An 8.7% increase in your Social Security benefit beginning in January. That's about 70 million people getting an automatic 8.7 increase in their paycheck. Where is that most going to go? Probably right back into the economy.
Exactly. And look at this. This is why we protect or honor your Social Security benefit from a planning standpoint. We want to get this right because these are automatic cost of living adjustments every year since 1975. Only 3 years with zero increase and never negative. Once inflation comes down, are we beyond peak aggressive inflation now? Probably. When that goes back down, your benefit stays. And when we have year on year on year increases, that's compounding. So we really like Social Security as a guaranteed, inflation-protected lifetime income stream.
We hope you enjoyed today's video. Have a great week.